He filed for divorce, drawn to the allure of a younger woman. In that moment of betrayal, she found the courage to unveil a truth that shattered his expectations, leaving him reeling in disbelief. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow as a woman stood at the kitchen counter, her hands deftly folding the last of the freshly laundered towels. She paused for a moment, a sigh escaping her lips, the weight of the day lingering in the air around her. The rich aroma of garlic and rosemary wafted through the air, wrapping around them like a warm embrace, as the stew bubbled softly on the stove, promising comfort and warmth. The sun rose on an ordinary Wednesday, casting a soft glow over the sleepy town. As the clock struck 8, Sarah stood at her kitchen window, her heart heavy with unspoken words. "Can you believe it's just another day?" she murmured to herself, the silence echoing back her doubts. Just then, her phone buzzed, breaking the stillness. "Hey, are we still on for lunch?" came the text from after 22 years of marriage. She had mastered the art of reading her husband's every move. Yet that night, a crucial signal slipped through her fingers, leaving her heart racing with uncertainty. He stepped inside, his tie slipping from his grasp as he exhaled a heavy breath. Without a word, he let the folded envelope fall onto the counter, the silence thickening the air between them. "We need to talk," he said, his gaze fixed on the floor, avoiding her piercing stare. A palpable tension filled the room, as if the very air had taken on a life of its own. With trembling fingers, she tore open the envelope, her heart racing. The moment her eyes fell on the word divorce, a wave of shock washed over her, and she felt her knees weaken beneath her. "What is this? I can't believe my eyes. Is this really happening right now? Tell me, what does this mean for us? I need to understand, please." "What do you mean?" she gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. His voice was devoid of warmth as he stated, "I've met someone. She's still so young. This just isn't working anymore," she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of unspoken words, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. A chill swept through the room, wrapping around them like a ghostly embrace, more biting than just a moment before. The woman, who had once radiated confidence and pride in the home she had crafted, now stood frozen, her breath coming in shallow gasps, as if she were rediscovering the very essence of her existence. "After everything," she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of unspoken pain. 22 years, 3 children. Do you remember all those nights I lay awake, heart racing, waiting for you to come home?" He paused, the silence stretching between them like a taut string, his eyes searching for the right words that seemed to elude him. "She makes me feel alive," he finally confessed, his voice trembling with unspoken longing. "You've changed, haven't you? You've transformed into a stranger." She stood there, her heart racing, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. "What do I do?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The weight of the moment pressed down on her, and she felt the tears threatening to spill. "I can't believe this is happening," she murmured, a shaky laugh escaping her lips, mingling with the sob that followed. "Why is this so hard?" With a swift motion, he snatched the pre-packed bag, his heart racing as he stepped out the door, the weight of the moment hanging heavy in the air. The stew on the stove bubbled over, its rich aroma now tainted by the acrid scent of burning. "Oh no, not again," she exclaimed, rushing to the pot, her heart racing. "I can't believe I let it slip my mind." The frustration bubbled within her, mixing with the smoke that filled the air, a reminder of her chaotic day. That night, she meticulously set the table for 2, her hands moving with a rhythm that defied the reality she couldn't bear to face. The candles flickered, their soft glow dancing across the walls, while the silence hung heavy in the air, more deafening than any argument could ever be. A tension crackled, palpable and electric, as unspoken words lingered between them, begging to be released. His chair loomed empty across from her, a bitter echo of all that had slipped away. Her hand shook as she gripped the fork, the cold stew before her a stark reminder of the moments that had slipped away. With a deep breath, she steeled herself and brought the fork to her lips, the weight of the decision heavy in the air. Each bite was a battle, a sharp agony that sliced through my senses, as if I were swallowing shards of glass. The walls of the dining room, once alive with laughter and stories, now seemed to constrict around her, suffocating her spirit. Why does it feel so empty? She whispered, her voice trembling. Where did everyone go? The silence answered her with a heavy weight, pressing down on her heart, as memories of joy flickered like ghosts in the dim light. The only sound that filled the room was the relentless ticking of the clock above the fireplace. Tick-tock. Each beat echoed like a painful reminder, counting down the moments of her solitude, amplifying the weight of her abandonment. After dinner, she made her way to the hallway mirror, her heart racing as she gazed at her reflection, searching for answers in her own eyes. Her once sharp features had softened with age and the weight of responsibility. I still see it, he murmured, searching her eyes, the beauty that remains. But she shook her head, a weary smile flickering across her lips. It's buried deep, she replied, her voice a fragile whisper. Underneath all this exhaustion. The room felt heavy with unspoken words, the air thick with the emotions they both carried. With trembling fingers, she traced the lines around her mouth, searching for the familiar contours of the woman staring back at her. Who are you? She whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence, a mix of longing and confusion swirling within her. The reflection offered no answers, only a haunting reminder of the passage of time and the emotions that lingered just beneath the surface. In the reflection, she found only the strength he failed to recognize. She gazed upon a woman, a figure of sacrifice, who nurtured a family with unwavering strength, who remained steadfast beside a man, weathering every storm together. It's different, he had said, his voice trembling with an unspoken weight. But isn't change a crucial part of our journey? She asked, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and uncertainty. As she flicked the switch, darkness enveloped her, and she slipped into the sheets, a profound silence settling around her. For the first time in over 20 years, she lay there alone, clutching a pillow that offered no warmth, no comfort, only the echo of what once was. The moment she approached the passenger door, the scent enveloped her, a wave of familiarity that stirred something deep within her. She hesitated, breath catching in her throat, as memories flooded back, each one more vivid than the last. It's beautiful, isn't it? She said, her eyes sparkling with a mix of nostalgia and hope. It reminds me of those carefree days when everything felt possible, like the world was just waiting for us to discover its secrets. Her voice trembled slightly, revealing the weight of unfulfilled dreams. But now it feels so distant, like a whisper of what once was. As she leaned into the car, her fingers brushed against the cool metal of the gearshift. Her eyes caught the sight of a silk scarf, pale pink and carelessly draped, its fabric marred by smudges of lipstick. A rush of memories flooded her mind, each stain whispering secrets of a past encounter, stirring emotions she thought she had buried deep. No, not this, she whispered, her heart sinking like a stone. The weight of despair settled heavily in her chest, a storm of emotions swirling within her. How could this happen? This was no mere figment of imagination. This was not a mistake. Not at all. He had turned his back, leaving a silence that screamed of unspoken words and unresolved feelings. He strode toward another, a figure he likely showcased in the very spot she once filled. Her fingers lingered in the air, trembling with uncertainty, as they hovered above the scarf, a silent battle raging within her. Would it sear her skin or soothe her soul? In that moment, a wave of realization crashed over her. She had not merely been abandoned, but utterly replaced. The weight of it settled in her chest, a heavy stone that threatened to crush her spirit. As he stepped through the door the following day, a storm brewed in her heart. She couldn't hold back any longer. She had to confront him. She wears jasmine, doesn't she? The scent lingers in the air, wrapping around us like a warm embrace, evoking memories of summer nights and whispered secrets. It's as if the very essence of her being is captured in that delicate fragrance, drawing me closer, igniting a spark of longing within me. I can't help but wonder what stories lie behind her choice, what emotions she carries with her, hidden beneath the surface. It doesn't matter, he said, his voice barely above a whisper as he brushed past her, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air between them. You'll find a way to move forward. You're incredibly strong. His words cut deep, leaving a raw ache where comfort should have been. Jasmine, can you hear me? The way your name lingers in the air, It's like a melody that pulls at my heartstrings. I need you to understand how much you mean to me, how every moment without you feels like an eternity. Please, just say something. Anything. Your silence is deafening, and I'm drowning in my own thoughts, longing for your voice to break through the chaos. Can you feel it too? The weight of unspoken words hanging between us, begging to be released. I'm here, waiting, hoping for a spark of connection that can ignite the fire we once had. In her 20s, that scent had been her signature, a fragrant whisper of youth and dreams that lingered in the air, evoking memories of laughter and late-night adventures. Was that truly the allure? A glimpse of the girl she once was, full of dreams and untamed spirit. You didn't just leave me, she whispered, her voice trembling with unspoken pain. You chose her, a stranger to the bitter flavor of sacrifice, while I stood here, heart aching with the weight of what we once shared. Silence hung in the air, thick and heavy, as he stared into the distance, his lips pressed tightly together. The weight of unspoken words lingered between them, a chasm filled with unexpressed thoughts and emotions. He simply didn't answer. You don't have to do that, she said, her voice trembling slightly, a flicker of vulnerability in her eyes. I mean, really, it's not necessary. The silence enveloped her, heavy and thick, whispering secrets she dared not voice. It wrapped around her heart, a palpable tension that begged for release, for words that could shatter the stillness. Her breath caught, emotions swirling within her like a tempest, each heartbeat echoing the unspoken truths that hung in the air between them. Weeks slipped by, and while her eyes had long since dried, the cracks in her spirit were still painfully evident. I can't believe this is my life now, she whispered, her voice trembling with unspoken sorrow. How did it come to this? The final blow struck in the midst of a conversation she never sought, words hanging heavy in the air, each syllable laced with unspoken tension. He didn't call to apologize or see how she was holding up. No, his voice dripped with a smug satisfaction that twisted the knife deeper. She's like a breath of fresh air, he said, his voice laced with admiration. She leans in, her heart racing as she absorbs every word. Even now, her dreams linger, vivid and alive. Years have slipped by since you last dared to dream. Each word sliced through her like a chilling blade, echoing the countless birthday dinners she had sacrificed, the date nights she had delayed just to let him unwind after a long day, and the dreams she had tucked away to construct his world. She reminds me of you, he said, his voice laced with a bittersweet edge. Back when you were still interesting. That sentence, delivered with an air of nonchalance, pierced through her facade, unraveling the last threads of her composure. She lingered in the stillness, the phone cradled in her trembling hands, as if it were a creature poised to strike once more. I was interesting once, she murmured, the weight of her own words heavy in the air. A flicker of longing danced in her eyes, as if she could reach back through time and grasp the vibrant threads of her past. The silence around her seemed to echo her unspoken regrets, each heartbeat a reminder of the life she once lived, filled with laughter and adventure. What happened to me? She whispered, the question hanging like a fragile thread, waiting for an answer that might never come. It was amusing how he passionately shared his dreams, yet never once did he inquire about hers, leaving a silence heavy with unspoken words. He never saw the way she infused their home with warmth, the way her hands danced over new recipes, or how, under the soft glow of the night, she poured her dreams into her journal, longing for distant places yet to be explored. He had ceased to search for her, and in that silence, she faded from his world. With a heavy sigh, she set the phone down on the table, her eyes fluttering shut as a wave of emotion washed over her. She refused to let his words shape her identity. Not anymore. I can't bear it any longer. If you believe the best of me is behind us, she said, her voice trembling with a mix of defiance and vulnerability, then you haven't even begun to see what I can truly become. As the mailman approached, his expression heavy with sympathy, he hesitated before extending the envelope. I'm so sorry, he murmured, as if the weight of the final divorce papers was a burden he shared. She took the documents, her heart pounding, the air thick with unspoken words and the gravity of the moment hanging between them. With a hesitant grip, she clutched the envelope and stepped inside, her movements deliberate as she settled into the familiar embrace of the kitchen table. Memories flooded back, moments spent signing birthday cards, the laughter of children echoing in her mind, and the weight of school permission slips that once felt so trivial. Her name stood beside his, a familiar sight that had endured for decades, yet now it was overshadowed by the stark reality of dissolution. With a hand that quivered for just a fleeting moment, she signed the pages, the weight of the moment hanging heavily in the air. With each stroke of the pen, she wrestled with a tumultuous blend of grief and relief, her heart pounding as emotions surged within her, begging to be released. "This isn't how I imagined my future," she whispered, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "But perhaps, just perhaps, I can rise from these ashes and create something new." Her heart raced as hope flickered within her, a fragile flame against the darkness. That night, she lifted the glass of wine to her lips, a bittersweet smile playing on her face. "To closure," she whispered, the words hanging in the air like a promise, as the warmth of the wine coursed through her, mingling with the emotions swirling in her heart. She stepped outside onto the porch, the night sky a canvas of twinkling stars above her. With a breath that trembled slightly, she whispered, "Thank you." Her voice carried the weight of unspoken emotions, a fragile thread connecting her to the vastness of the universe. Not to him, but to the version of herself that had weathered the storm of betrayal, yet still summoned the courage to rise again. With a flourish, the ink dried on the final page, sealing the fate of the story. A heavy silence hung in the air, as if the weight of the moment pressed down on everyone present. Emotions swirled, a mix of relief and sorrow, as the last chapter came to an end. Tomorrow had finally broken free from his grasp. The silence that enveloped the house still pierced through her, but it no longer bore the weight of a sentence. Instead, it whispered of new beginnings, a chance to breathe without the shadows of the past looming over her. It was as if the universe had expanded, stretching out in every direction, offering a chance to start anew. The following week, he returned, feigning a need to collect old documents. Yet, as the minutes stretched between them, it became painfully obvious that his true quest was for something deeper, validation. The air thickened with unspoken words, each glance heavy with unacknowledged longing. "You got comfortable," he remarked, his eyes sweeping over the living room as if it had somehow diminished in worth. "You've come to a halt, haven't you? I long for a presence that ignites my spirit, someone whose very essence stirs my soul and fuels my passion." "I can't believe this is happening," she whispered, her voice trembling as she fought to contain the blaze of anger igniting within her. "Why can't you see how much this hurts?" "Inspiration," she echoed, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and longing. "Everything I had, I poured into you. So, this is what you call stagnation." He met her gaze, his voice dripping with that all-too-familiar condescension, devoid of any hint of remorse. "Perhaps if you had shown yourself a little more kindness. Between us." She let out a brief, mirthless chuckle, the sound hanging heavy in the air. "Do you even hear what you're saying? So, you think you can cloak your betrayal in the guise of loyalty?" He spun on his heel, striding away as if his words had hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Yet, she held back the tears, refusing to let them fall this time. The pain had transformed, becoming a piercing shard that cut deeper than before. And with it, the first flicker of something new ignited within her, a fierce resolve that pulsed like a heartbeat. On what should have been their 23rd wedding anniversary, she stirred from sleep, a weight pressing down on her heart, as if the very air around her was thick with unspoken words and lingering memories. She traced the hand-drawn heart on the calendar date, a ritual she clung to with unwavering devotion. With a swift motion, she prepared the coffee, the rich aroma filling the air as she settled into silence, lost in her thoughts. In another life, she would have prepared his favorite meal, slipped into the red dress that made her feel alive, and lit the candles, their flickering flames dancing in the shadows, casting a warm glow over the moment they could have shared. With a sigh, she picked up her phone, her fingers dancing over the screen as she scrolled through the endless stream of social media posts, each one a fleeting glimpse into the lives of others. There it was, a snapshot capturing him and the younger woman, laughter dancing between them as they shared a meal by the shimmering waves. Champagne, bubbling with anticipation, filled the air with its effervescent promise. The clinking of glasses echoed like laughter, each sip a whisper of celebration, a moment suspended in time. Emotions danced around the room, intertwining with the golden liquid, as stories unfolded and hearts laid bare. It was more than a drink. It was a catalyst for connection, a spark igniting the night with drama and fervor. They exchanged smiles, each one a mirror of the other, filled with unspoken understanding and warmth. To new memories, we raise our glasses, hearts brimming with hope and anticipation. She gazed at the screen, her heart heavy not with sorrow but with a profound sense of disbelief. He raised his glass, laughter spilling from his lips, celebrating milestones with another, while memories of her birthday lingered like a ghost in the shadows of his mind. The man who had always dismissed dates as mere numbers found himself unexpectedly awash with sentimentality. With a heavy sigh, she closed the app, her fingers lingering on the screen for just a moment before she set the phone down, the silence in the room amplifying the weight of her decision. That day transformed into a beginning, a spark igniting the air with unspoken words and unyielding emotions. And so, it was the dawn of something new. With a heart heavy yet resolute, she whispered to herself, "Never again." The shadows of past anniversaries loomed, but this time, she would face whatever came with strength, refusing to be shattered once more. As the sun dipped low in the sky, her phone shattered the silence, ringing insistently. It was her youngest son, the one who had ventured far away to pursue his studies, leaving a void in her heart. "I care about you," he said, his voice wrapping around her like a comforting blanket, yet laced with an unmistakable worry. "Are you really okay?" "Mom, I can't believe what I just heard, the divorce. How could this happen? Why didn't you just say something to me?" I don't know," she stammered, her voice trembling as uncertainty washed over her. "You have enough to worry about," she murmured, her voice laced with concern. On the other end, his voice took on a resolute tone, each word laced with intensity. "You've always stood by me, unwavering and true. Now, it's my moment to shine." His words pierced through the silence, awakening parts of her heart she thought had long since faded away. As he spoke, his voice trembled with nostalgia, each word a brushstroke painting vivid scenes from his childhood. "Do you remember those late nights?" he asked, his eyes glistening. "You were always there, guiding me through those school projects, your laughter echoing in the room. And the smell of your cooking. It wrapped around me like a warm embrace, a promise of comfort in every bite." The weight of those memories hung between them, thick with unspoken emotions. "You were the glue holding it all together," he said, his voice trembling with the weight of unspoken words. "And you remain that same person. Even if someone couldn't recognize your value, it doesn't diminish the brilliance that lies within you." With tears glistening in her eyes, she whispered her gratitude, her voice trembling with emotion. For the first time since the divorce, a warmth spread through her chest, filling the empty spaces that had lingered for so long. She glanced around, her heart racing, as if the shadows of solitude were finally lifting, revealing a glimmer of hope. In that moment, she felt a profound connection, as if the layers of her soul were laid bare before him. It was as if he could read the unspoken words that danced in her heart, igniting a spark of vulnerability and warmth within her. She felt seen, truly seen, and it stirred something deep inside her, a mix of fear and exhilaration. As spring tiptoed in, a restless energy stirred within her, beckoning her to take action. With a deep breath, she pulled her old bicycle from the shadows of the garage. The tires sagged, lifeless and flat, while the chain hung like a forgotten memory, rusted and weary. With a sense of accomplishment swelling in her chest, she mounted her bike and pedaled through the familiar streets of her neighborhood, the wind whipping through her hair as a smile broke across her face. The streets felt like old friends, yet there was an unsettling freshness to them, as if they were whispering secrets only I could hear. As she walked, her gaze lingered on familiar spots, each one a whisper of the past, some shimmering with beauty, others weighed down by shadows. But now, she was free from their grasp, no longer a prisoner of their shadows. She was on the move, both in body and spirit, drawn toward an uncertain destiny that felt undeniably hers. As she walked home, her gaze fell upon a quaint bakery, its warm glow inviting yet softened by the years. A help-wanted sign, worn and faded, hung in the window, whispering promises of new beginnings. There was an undeniable pull in the simplicity that beckoned her closer, whispering secrets only she could hear. She stepped into the room, her heart racing, and with a tremor in her voice, she dared to ask, "Is the job still available?" Mrs. Kaplan, a warm-hearted woman, scanned her from head to toe, a gentle smile spreading across her face as she took in the sight before her. "Your hands tell a story of compassion, of nurturing those in need. That's truly more than enough." As she stepped out of the bakery, the apron hung loosely around her waist, a symbol of her new beginning. She paused, taking a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world lift just a little. It was small, modest, yet it pulsed with the promise of something undeniably hers. The bakery transformed into her refuge, a place where the warm scent of freshly baked bread wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. Each morning, as she stepped inside, the world outside faded away, leaving only the soft hum of the oven and the gentle clatter of mixing bowls. Here, amidst the flour-dusted countertops and the sweet melodies of laughter, she found solace. "Isn't it beautiful?" she whispered to herself, her heart as she stepped into the dim light of dawn. The rich aroma of coffee mingled with the warmth of fresh bread, enveloping her in a comforting embrace. "I can't believe I'm finally here," she whispered to herself, a smile tugging at her lips. The world was still waking up, but her heart raced with anticipation, each breath filled with the promise of a new beginning. With each passing day, she discovered the art of kneading dough, her hands moving with a rhythm that felt almost instinctual. She arranged pastries with an eye for beauty, each delicate creation a testament to her growing skill. And when faced with difficult customers, she found herself responding with a grace that surprised even her, a quiet strength emerging from within as she navigated their demands. Mrs. Kaplan stood in the doorway, her presence commanding yet gentle. "You know," she began, her voice soft but firm, "there's more to this job than just the tasks at hand." Her eyes sparkled with wisdom, and I felt a rush of emotion as I realized how much she truly cared. "I believe in you," she added, and in that moment, I understood that she was not merely my boss. She was guiding me towards something greater, someone who pierced through the layers, revealing the truth beneath. "You've got something truly rare," she once said, her voice trembling with a mix of awe and concern. "A gentle strength that endures." "That apron is absolutely stunning," the regular customer exclaimed, eyes sparkling with admiration. "Did you make it yourself?" "Where did you get that?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of curiosity and disbelief, eyes wide as they locked onto the object in his hand. "It's absolutely stunning." Her cheeks flushed with a deep crimson, a wave of warmth washing over her as she felt the weight of his gaze. "I did it. Can you believe it? I finally made it." And just like that, the thread of her past slipped back into her grasp, tugging at her heart with a familiar ache. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow in the room, she hesitated for a moment before reaching into the closet. With a deep breath, she pulled out her old sewing machine, its surface dusted with memories, each scratch and dent telling a story of the past. The machine groaned to life, its joints protesting with a haunting creak that echoed in the stillness. Her fingers quivered, the fabric slipping through the needle like a fragile secret waiting to be unveiled. Yet, as the hum enveloped the room, a spark ignited within her, stirring emotions she couldn't ignore. It had transformed from a mere pastime into something far more profound, a voice that beckoned from deep within. As she sat before the sewing machine, the world around her faded away, each stitch pulling her deeper into a sanctuary of her own making. The rhythmic hum of the machine was a soothing balm, wrapping her in a cocoon of creativity and solace. In that moment, she was free from the weight of expectations, free to express the emotions that swirled within her like a tempest. Each piece of fabric whispered secrets, and with every thread, she wove her heart into something beautiful, something that after work, she would sink into her chair, the world around her fading away as she became enveloped by the vibrant scraps of fabric and the nostalgic allure of vintage thread. Each piece whispered stories, and she could almost hear their secrets calling to her, urging her to weave them into something beautiful. Her first creations were humble, denim tote bags and patchwork aprons, yet each stitch held a fragment of her soul, whispering stories of love and longing. With each stitch, a piece of what was once lost surged back to life, a quiet battle waged in the fabric of my heart. With each passing night, her fingers danced over the fabric, a newfound confidence igniting within her. As the thread threaded through the cloth, it felt as though it was stitching strength back into the very essence of her being. On a rainy afternoon, she stepped into the bakery, her homemade apron clinging to her as droplets danced on the window. The scent of fresh bread filled the air, wrapping around her like a warm embrace, stirring emotions she thought she had tucked away. "Do you think they'll like it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, eyes searching for reassurance. The baker looked up, a knowing smile spreading across his face, and replied, "They'll love it, just like I do." Her heart swelled, a mix of hope and vulnerability swirling within her. Mrs. Kaplan's eyes narrowed, her intuition sparking as she sensed something was amiss. "Did you really create that? What is this?" she asked, her fingers brushing the edge with a delicate curiosity. As she nodded, a warm smile spread across the older woman's face, her eyes sparkling with unspoken understanding. "Why don't you consider selling those? They could really make an impact." At first, the idea seemed utterly ridiculous, a laughable notion that danced on the edge of sanity. "Are you really considering selling? Who could possibly desire anything from her?" Yet, the seed had taken root, stirring something deep within. That night, she sat in the dim light, her heart racing as she pulled out a notebook. With trembling fingers, she began to scribble down her thoughts, each word a whisper of her deepest emotions, a spark of inspiration igniting the pages before her. A brand, a promise wrapped in colors and shapes, whispers stories of identity and aspiration. It beckons, inviting connection and stirring emotions, as it dances in the hearts of those who encounter it. A glimpse into the future, a fleeting moment that stirs the heart and ignites the imagination. It was a moment crafted solely for her, a whisper of intention wrapped in the air, waiting to be felt. A few days later, a neighbor strolled into the bakery, her eyes landing on the apron draped over the baker's shoulders, curiosity sparking in her gaze. "Did you really make that?" she asked, her eyes wide with disbelief, a hint of admiration lacing her voice. "What do you really want?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and fear. As she uttered that simple word, "Yes," the neighbor's eyes sparkled with an intensity that spoke volumes, a flicker of hope igniting within them. "I've been searching high and low for the perfect dress to wear to the tea party, something simple yet elegant that captures the essence of the occasion. Would you be able to create one for me?" "No, I can't," she said, her voice trembling as she turned away, the weight of her decision heavy in the air. "I just can't." But instead, she felt the words escape her lips, "Sure." The weight of the moment hung in the air, charged with unspoken feelings and the tension of what lay ahead. "Absolutely, I would be thrilled to." For 2 relentless days, she immersed herself in the dress, her heart and soul woven into every intricate detail. Each stitch was a whisper of her passion, a silent testament to her dedication. The fabric draped softly, a deep navy blue that whispered elegance. Its simple lines flowed seamlessly, while the gentle stitching added a touch of warmth, inviting closer inspection. As the neighbor slipped it on, her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, a storm of emotions brewing just beneath the surface. "I haven't felt pretty in years," she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of unspoken insecurities. That single sentence resonated with a weight that no compliment had ever managed to carry. It wasn't merely a dress. It was a balm for the soul, a transformative embrace that whispered promises of renewal. And in that moment, a spark ignited within her. She understood that her creations could transcend mere fabric, becoming something far more profound. Perhaps they are tales waiting to unfold. Whispers began to circulate, softly, like tendrils weaving through the earth, each one carrying a secret, a promise, or a fear. "Did you hear what happened next door?" one neighbor whispered, leaning closer to the other, eyes wide with intrigue. Orders trickled in, each one a flicker of hope, just enough to fill her nights with purpose and anticipation. As she meticulously sorted her fabrics by color, a sense of purpose ignited within her. She labeled each drawer with care, her mind racing with ideas. Late into the night, she poured her heart onto the pages, sketches coming to life under the dim light, each stroke filled with passion and dreams. As she looked around, her dining room began to morph into a vibrant little studio, each corner whispering stories waiting to be told. She felt the weight of the moment, searching for a name that resonated with depth and significance. "I chose rebirth," she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of her decision. "It's like stitching my life back together, one fragile piece at a time." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, each word laced with the raw emotion of her journey. Every thread, every moment, it all matters. Her youngest son caught the spark in her eyes and stepped forward, his voice filled with eagerness. "Let me help you set up that online page," he said, a hint of excitement lacing his words, as if he could feel the weight of her dreams lifting with each keystroke. In the backyard, they captured her designs, the sunlight dancing on the linen, a gentle breeze teasing the hem of a dress, as if nature itself was celebrating her artistry. Before long, the page began to attract followers, each one drawn in by the unfolding story. There weren't many, but the few that remained held a weight of significance, each one a thread in the fabric of the moment, pulsing with unspoken stories and emotions that lingered in the air. "This feels like me," one woman said, her voice trembling with vulnerability. "I wish I had the courage to start again." The weight of her words hung in the air, a shared longing echoing among them. With a gentle touch, she crafted her responses, pouring her heart into every word. She was crafting a dream, pouring her heart into every detail, each decision a step towards something greater. With each careful step, she crafted a bridge, not just for her own journey, but for those who would follow, their hopes intertwined with hers in a delicate dance of connection. On a Saturday morning, she paused at the supermarket, her handmade dress swirling around her as she took a deep breath, anticipation fluttering in her chest. The fabric store awaited her, a treasure trove of possibilities just down the road. But first, she had to navigate the bustling aisles filled with familiar faces and the hum of everyday life. The dress hung gracefully, a deep wine hue that whispered elegance. Its clean lines framed her figure perfectly, while the matching headscarf added a touch of intrigue, hinting at stories untold. She stood there, a soft smile playing on her lips, a warmth swelling in her chest. It was a quiet pride, but it echoed loudly in her heart, a gentle affirmation of her journey. As she rounded the corner by the dairy section, her breath hitched in her throat. There he stood, a figure cloaked in uncertainty, the air thick with unspoken words. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and fear. He met her gaze, the weight of his silence heavy between them. "I had to see you," he finally replied, each word laced with the she watched as her ex-husband strolled by, his arm wrapped around the waist of a younger woman, laughter spilling from their lips like a melody that pierced her heart. They were lost in laughter, the sound echoing around them, until their eyes fell upon her, and the joy faded into a heavy silence. His gaze swept over her, lingering on every detail, before a smirk curled at the corners of his lips. "You look tired," he remarked, his voice dripping with that all-too-familiar condescension that always seemed to sap her strength. The woman beside him leaned in, her voice laced with curiosity. "So this is your ex? You never mentioned how ordinary she looked," he said, his voice laced with disbelief. Her heart raced, yet her expression remained composed. "Age teaches," she said softly, her eyes reflecting a depth of understanding. "It's a shame, really, that not everyone takes the lessons to heart." With a heavy heart, she pivoted on her heel, her footsteps echoing in the silence, refusing to glance over her shoulder. Inside, her heart raced, each beat echoing like a drum in the silence of the room. But not out of shame, rather from a place of undeniable power. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow in her cozy room, she stepped through the door, her heart heavy with the day's events. She settled into her chair, fingers trembling slightly as they hovered over the sewing machine, a world of fabric and thread waiting to be transformed. The hum of the machine filled the silence, a soothing balm for her restless soul, as she poured her emotions into every stitch, each one a whisper of her unspoken thoughts. Her fingers danced across the keys, urgency pulsing through her veins, as if they were guided by an unseen force. She poured her heart into crafting a dress of white cotton, the fabric soft against her fingertips. Delicate navy embroidery danced across the surface, each stitch whispering tales of peace and resilience, a silent promise woven into the very threads of her creation. It was a vulnerability laid bare, a fragile shield against the world. It was a gentle strength, a quiet power that resonated deeply. The words from the supermarket lingered in the air, a faint echo that brushed against her, yet failed to penetrate the armor she had built around her heart. Not anymore. I can't bear it any longer. She kept the encounter to herself, the weight of it heavy in her heart, knowing her children would worry. The silence hung between them, thick with unspoken words and hidden fears. It was a memory best left untouched, a shadow that lingered too long in the corners of the mind. With a flick of her wrist, she uploaded a photo of the dress, her heart racing as she typed the simple caption, "Handmade." The weight of her creation hung in the air, a silent plea for recognition. History weaves itself into every thread. "Did you see that?" she exclaimed, her voice trembling with excitement. "Everyone is talking about it." His eyes widened, a mix of surprise and curiosity flickering across his face. "What are they saying?" he asked, leaning closer, eager to catch every word. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, each comment a spark igniting their emotions. One woman exclaimed, "This dress looks like hope." Another voice broke through the silence, trembling with emotion. "I don't know why, but this made me cry." Tears glistened in their eyes, a raw vulnerability hanging in the air. "Maybe," she replied, her voice trembling with a mix of vulnerability and strength. "It's because it's crafted by someone who truly understands what it means to be broken, yet still chooses beauty in the midst of it all." On a warm Sunday morning, as she poured steaming coffee into delicate cups at the bakery, the door swung open. A woman stepped inside, and her heart skipped a beat. She was wearing one of her dresses. The fabric hugged her figure, and for a moment, time stood still. Their eyes met, and a rush of emotions flooded the air between them, thick with unspoken words and memories. What was she thinking? Did she know the story behind that dress? The bakery, usually filled with the comforting aroma of fresh pastries, suddenly felt charged with an electric tension, each second stretching into eternity. But not just any woman. She was a local lifestyle influencer, captivating her audience with her passion for handmade goods and the charm of small brands. "So, tell me, are you the one who owns Rebirth?" "What do you think?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Last week, at the bustling community fair, I stumbled upon this treasure, and now I can't get enough of it. It's taken hold of my heart in a way I never expected." "No way," she whispered, her eyes wide, disbelief washing over her like a cold wave. "This can't be happening." "Yes, I am," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence. The woman fumbled in her bag, her fingers trembling as she finally retrieved her phone. She stared at the screen, her heart racing, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "Come on," she whispered, desperation lacing her voice, as she prepared to dial the number that could change everything. "Do you think it would be all right if I captured a moment with you in a photograph?" That very afternoon, the photo appeared online, accompanied by the words, "Discovered a hidden gem today." The excitement was palpable, a thrill that danced in the air. This woman weaves enchantment with every piece of fabric she touches, her hands dancing as if guided by an unseen force. Each stitch tells a story, each fold a whisper of dreams yet to be realized. The air around her crackles with anticipation, as if the very threads are alive, yearning to reveal their secrets. In her world, fabric is not just material. It is a canvas for emotion, a tapestry of life waiting to unfold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, her phone buzzed incessantly, each notification a reminder of the chaos unfolding online. Affection, connections, words exchanged, laden with meaning. Commands echoed through the room, each one heavy with expectation. Voices echoed from far and wide, each carrying stories from distant corners of the country. Women reached out, not merely to purchase dresses, but to weave their tales into the fabric of connection. I've been through a divorce as well. I've just been let go from my job, and the weight of it is crushing. The uncertainty looms over me like a dark cloud, and I can feel the panic rising in my chest. What am I going to do now? How will I face the world? My heart races as I try to grasp the reality of it all, the fear of the unknown wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. It pressed down on her, a heavy burden that somehow shimmered with beauty, igniting a storm of emotions within her. "Can you feel it?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "It's like a bittersweet melody, isn't it?" With each word, she lingered, her heart swelling with every syllable, as if the pages themselves whispered secrets meant only for her ears. This had transformed from mere commerce into a powerful movement, pulsing with energy and purpose. She stood at the very center of it all, her presence igniting a whirlwind of emotions around her. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the boutique, a sudden knock echoed against the glass door. It was just after closing time, and the sound sent a jolt through her, a mix of curiosity and apprehension swirling within her chest. Her gaze shot up, and in that instant, time seemed to stand still. It was him, standing there, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air between them. Her heart raced, a storm of emotions swirling within as she searched his eyes for answers. "Why now?" she finally breathed, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and fear. He took a step closer, the tension crackling like electricity, and he stood there, a figure from her past, the weight of memories hanging heavily in the air between them. He seemed transformed, as if the weight of the world had shifted in his gaze. More slender, exhausted, she slumped against the wall, her breath coming in shaky gasps. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered, her voice barely above a murmur, heavy with the weight of her emotions. The world around her blurred, and all she could feel was the relentless pull of fatigue wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. The lines etched into his face seemed to deepen with every passing moment, and his posture sagged under an invisible burden, a silent testament to the struggles he bore. "I heard about the store," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, as if the words themselves carried a weight too heavy to bear. "I needed to witness it with my own eyes, to feel the weight of it pressing against my heart." As she swung the door open, silence hung in the air, thick with unspoken words, inviting him in with a heavy heart. He ambled through the store, fingers brushing against the fabric of the dresses, his eyes clouded with a deep, unspoken regret. "I shouldn't have let it go," he murmured, almost to himself, as memories flooded back. Each dress seemed to whisper secrets of the past, pulling at his heartstrings. "What was I thinking?" he added, his voice barely above a whisper, laden with emotion. "Did you truly create all of this?" She nodded, a single, deliberate motion that spoke volumes. With every stitch, a story unfolds, weaving together threads of hope and despair, each pull of the needle echoing the silent struggles and triumphs that lie beneath the surface. He lingered in that moment, enveloped by the gentle hues that danced around him, the delicate labels whispering stories, and the soothing aroma of lavender and cotton wrapping him in a tender embrace. "She's gone," he finally uttered, his voice barely a whisper, the weight of the words hanging heavy in the air. It became painfully clear that she was not the person I had imagined her to be. And I wasn't the person she believed me to be, not even close. "Huh? Isn't that just rich?" he scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping his lips, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. "But this? What are we supposed to do with this? It feels like a weight pressing down on my chest, suffocating me with uncertainty. Can you not see how it tears at the very fabric of our lives? I need to know, what do you think? What are you feeling right now? What about you?" "I never saw this coming," she whispered, her voice trembling with disbelief. The weight of the moment hung heavy in the air, a storm of emotions swirling within her. "How could this happen?" "I'm here," she said softly, her voice steady, yet there was an undercurrent of tension that hinted at the storm brewing beneath the surface. "It's as if you were blind to my very essence. You caught a glimpse of your version of me. Yet, deep down, I always understood the depths of my own potential." He nodded, a heavy weight of defeat settling in his chest. She turned away, her back to him as she continued to wipe down the counter, the silence thick between them. He stood there, a solitary figure in a room that echoed with the memories of who she had become in his absence. It was 2 days after their encounter when he finally reached out, his fingers trembling slightly as he typed the message. "How about dinner?" he asked, the words hanging in the air, thick with unspoken tension and anticipation. "Take your time, no rush at all. Only a dialogue between them. I need to explain myself," he wrote, his fingers trembling slightly over the keys, the weight of his words heavy in the air. After hours of internal struggle, she finally relented. It wasn't a yearning that drove her, but a deep-seated curiosity that tugged at her heart. As they stepped into the cozy bistro downtown, the air was thick with anticipation. "I can't believe we're finally here," she said, her voice trembling slightly. He looked into her eyes, a mix of excitement and nervousness swirling between them. "I know," he replied, a smile breaking across his face. "It feels like we've been waiting for this moment forever." The clinking of glasses and soft murmur of conversations faded into the background as their world narrowed to just the two of them. Charged they used to visit this place often, back when life was brighter and laughter filled the air. He had chosen a secluded corner table, attempting to smile, yet the depth of his eyes revealed a truth far beyond his spoken words. As the soft clinking of glasses filled the air, he leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "You know, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. How foolish I was, lost in my own naivety. I once believed that youth was synonymous with superiority. In that moment, I believed that the thrill of excitement overshadowed the weight of loyalty." She allowed him to speak as he once did, yet this time, her ears were attuned to every nuance, every tremor in his voice, as if she were uncovering layers of unspoken truths. The words had lost their grip, slipping through fingers like sand, leaving only echoes of what once was. "They were nothing but echoes," she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of memories that lingered in the air. "Fleeting shadows of what once was, haunting me in the silence." "I miss us," he said, his voice trembling with a mix of longing and regret. "Oh, how I long for the warmth of your presence, the way you wrapped me in a cocoon of safety, where nothing could touch us." It was a feeling like no other, a sanctuary in a world that often felt so chaotic. With a soft clink, she set her fork aside, her eyes glistening with unspoken words. "You don't miss me," she said, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and despair. "There's a longing in your heart, a yearning for a sanctuary, a place where you can finally rest your weary soul. But I've moved on from that place. I'm not that person anymore. Don't think for a moment that I belong to you, waiting at the door for your return." He leaned back, his mouth agape, unable to find the words. The silence between them hung heavily in the air, a palpable tension that seemed to stretch on forever before finally settling like a thick fog. The clinking of cutlery filled the air as they pushed their plates away, an unspoken tension hanging between them, heavy and palpable. As the final echoes faded into silence, she turned on her heel, her heart pounding, and strode away, refusing to glance back at the chaos she was leaving behind. The following morning, he composed one last message, his heart heavy with unspoken words. "Just take a moment to really consider it. We shared a life filled with laughter and tears, moments that stitched our hearts together in a tapestry of memories." Her eyes lingered on the words, each one heavy with unspoken weight. A sigh escaped her lips as she hovered over the delete button, a moment of hesitation hanging in the air. Finally, with a swift motion, she erased it all, leaving silence in its wake, unanswered and unresolved. All the anger had faded away, leaving only a hollow ache in its place. Only clarity, nothing more. She had already grieved the loss of their marriage, each memory a sharp reminder of what once was. At that moment, she found herself immersed in the narrative of her life, each heartbeat echoing the drama unfolding around her. As she stepped into the studio, the scent of fresh fabric enveloped her, igniting a spark of inspiration. With a deep breath, she opened the door, the hinges creaking softly, and settled into her chair at the machine, anticipation thrumming in the air around her. The needle hummed softly, a gentle lullaby that wrapped around her. She inhaled deeply, matching its cadence, her heart steadying, feeling complete in that moment. That evening, she leaned closer to her daughter, her voice trembling with anticipation. "You won't believe what happened at dinner," she began, her eyes sparkling with a mix of excitement and worry. "It was unlike anything we've ever experienced." The young woman leaned in, her expression a mask of intrigue, as she absorbed every word spoken, the tension thick in the air. "Did you truly feel anything at all? What do you really want?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and fear. The mother paused, her brow furrowing as she searched for the right words. "Distance," she finally replied, her voice heavy with unspoken feelings. "It feels as though he remains at that station, frozen in time, while I've long since moved on." With a gentle touch, her daughter reached out, intertwining her fingers with her mother's, a silent promise of support and understanding passing between them. "You are the strongest woman I have ever known," he said, his voice thick with admiration. "Every challenge you face, you rise above it, and it leaves me in awe." She looked at him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears, a mixture of pride and vulnerability swirling within her. "But sometimes I feel so weary," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's as if the weight of the world rests on my shoulders." He stepped closer, his hand reaching out to gently in that fleeting moment. A spark ignited within her, and she found herself believing it as well. One morning, as she carefully folded the delicate fabric of a dress for shipping, her fingers hesitated over the keyboard. She opened her inbox and felt a flutter of anticipation in her chest, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. A message from a local TV station flashed across the screen, stirring a mix of anticipation and curiosity within me. A producer, captivated by the viral photo, felt an undeniable urge to bring her into the spotlight of a morning show, envisioning the drama and emotion that would unfold in front of the cameras. Her story, they declared, is igniting a fire in the hearts of women everywhere. "No," she almost whispered, the word hanging in the air, heavy with unspoken fears and doubts. Her heart raced, a tempest of emotions swirling within her, urging her to reconsider. But the weight of the moment pressed down, and she felt the tension crackle between them, a silent plea for understanding. Shutter clicks echoed in the air, capturing fleeting moments, each frame a story waiting to unfold. The tension hung thick as eyes darted, searching for the perfect shot, the perfect expression. A breath held, a heartbeat quickened. What would the lens reveal? What secrets lie hidden behind the smiles and frowns? The drama of the scene unfolded, emotions swirling like a tempest, each click a testament to the beauty and fragility of life. In the stillness of the room, a single question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken tension. "Why?" she whispered, her voice trembling, eyes glistening with unshed tears. The silence that followed was deafening, each heartbeat echoing the weight of uncertainty. "What did I do wrong?" His gaze fell to the floor, the burden of his thoughts palpable, as if the very walls could feel the ache of their unvoiced fears. The air crackled with unresolved emotions, each moment stretching into eternity, begging for answers that seemed just out of reach. Unveiling the truth. It all felt overwhelming, like a storm brewing inside, ready to burst forth at any moment. But then a wave of memories washed over her, each message from the women echoing in her mind, stirring emotions she thought she had buried deep. Who was it that said I needed to hear your story? Perhaps this had shifted beyond her grasp. On the day of the interview, she stepped into the room, her signature dress, a delicate ivory adorned with soft blue stitching, draping elegantly around her. The fabric whispered of confidence, yet her heart raced, a tempest of anticipation swirling within her. "This is it," she murmured to herself, the weight of the moment pressing down like a heavy fog. Would they see her? Would they understand? The air crackled with unspoken words, each breath a silent plea for acceptance. On camera, her voice trembled initially, but as she spoke, it surged with newfound strength, each word resonating with deeper conviction. "You know," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "betrayal cuts deeper than any knife. But through the pain, I found a strength I never knew I had. It's like a light flickering back to life after being snuffed out. I had to learn to see my own worth again, especially after everything I've lost." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, the weight of her words hanging heavy in the air. "I didn't start with a plan," she confessed, her voice trembling slightly as she looked away, the weight of her words hanging in the air between us. Only a needle, a piece of fabric, and the weight of a shattered heart linger in the air. Yet, I wove something entirely fresh. I'm convinced that each one of us has the ability to do so. As the segment played on screen, the boutique's phone rang off the hook, orders flooding in like a tidal wave of excitement. Yet, beyond that, her inbox overflowed once more with tales waiting to be told. And this time, her voice was steady, filled with purpose, as she spoke not as a victim, but as a guide, leading the way through the shadows of despair. The online store had blossomed into something far beyond her wildest dreams, yet within the walls of her home, a sense of suffocation began to creep in, whispering that it was no longer enough. With her children by her side, their laughter echoing in the air, she took a deep breath, her heart racing with hope. With a small loan in hand, she stepped into a modest retail space, just a few blocks from the bakery, where dreams began to take shape. Despite the cracked tiles and dusty shelves, the worn walls whispered stories of the past, and to her, it was nothing short of perfection. For weeks, they immersed themselves in the vibrant world of colors, each stroke of the brush telling a story. They adorned the space with care, bringing in racks and mannequins that seemed to breathe life into the room, each piece whispering secrets of style and elegance. With each stitch, she poured her heart into the curtains, crafting them with care. The storefront window became a canvas for her soul, showcasing her proudest creations, each piece a testament to her passion and dedication. The name above the door gleamed in gold-painted wood, whispering secrets of new beginnings, rebirth. As dawn broke on the day of the grand opening, she stepped through the doors, her heart pounding in her chest. "This is it," she whispered to herself, a mix of excitement and anxiety swirling within her. The air was thick with anticipation, and she could almost taste the dream she had poured into this moment. She stood there, heart racing, anticipation swirling within her. Surely, just a handful of neighbors would peek through their curtains, their eyes filled with curiosity. As she turned the key and pushed the door open, her heart raced. A line of eager faces awaited her, each one filled with anticipation and longing. Women of all ages gathered outside, some clasping hands tightly, while others wiped away tears that spoke volumes of their heartache. "I've been following your journey online," one person said, their voice tinged with a mix of admiration and curiosity. Another voice, barely above a whisper, pierced the silence. "You made me believe I still matter." The weight of those words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken feelings and the ache of longing. As the door swung open, the store came alive with the buzz of voices and footsteps. She lingered at the edge, her heart racing, taking in not just her customers, but a gathering of souls, each one a testament to resilience and survival. Amidst the bustling crowd, as she delicately adjusted a display, an unexpected hush fell over the boutique, thick with anticipation. Her gaze drifted to the entrance, and there he was, her ex-husband, standing like a ghost from the past. He lingered at the doorway, his old blazer hanging loosely on his frame, while his expression danced between uncertainty and something deeper, leaving her to wonder what thoughts swirled behind those unreadable eyes. A few women caught sight of him, their whispers weaving through the air like secrets, while others gazed, their eyes lingering with unspoken thoughts. As he stepped inside, his gaze swept across the room, lingering on every detail, every shadow that danced in the corners. "I heard about the store," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, laden with a weight of unspoken thoughts. She kept her voice steady, her gaze unwavering, as she simply let the silence stretch between them, a quiet storm brewing in the air. She didn't demand his departure. Instead, the weight of unspoken words hung heavily, filling the space with unyielding tension. With a delicate flick of her wrist, she pointed toward the racks, her eyes glimmering with unspoken thoughts. "Take a look," she urged, her voice laced with an intensity that demanded attention. His fingers brushed against the soft linen of the dress, lingering on the delicate embroidery of the sleeve, as if trying to capture a fleeting memory. "You created all of this?" he questioned, his voice trembling with disbelief as he struggled to comprehend the vastness of what lay before him. With a slight nod, she acknowledged his words, her eyes reflecting a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions swirling within her. With every stitch, a story unfolds, weaving threads of tension and release, each pull a whisper of unspoken words, each not a moment of hesitation, laden with emotion. He scanned the room once more, his gaze finally settling on her, a storm of thoughts swirling in his eyes. "I never imagined you would turn into this," she said, her voice trembling with a mix of disbelief and sorrow. "How do we end up here?" "I understand," she said, her voice steady, yet a flicker of something deeper danced in her eyes. "It's clear you never truly understood who I am." With a swift motion, she pivoted to assist a customer, leaving him enveloped in the stillness of what he had once so easily overlooked. The following day, he came back, not to cause chaos, but to leave a piece of himself behind. "My dearest," with a sense of urgency, he passed it to one of her employees, his voice steady yet laced with anticipation. "Please, make sure this reaches her," he urged, the weight of his request hanging in the air between them. "Could you please hand this to her? It's important, and I really need her to have it." "I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice trembling with a mix of frustration and sadness. "I won't come again." That evening, she stumbled upon the envelope resting on her desk, its presence heavy with unspoken words. She hesitated, her fingers hovering over the pages, a storm of thoughts swirling in her mind. Should she dive in, or let it remain untouched? The weight of the decision pressed heavily on her heart. With trembling fingers, she finally pried it open, her heart racing in anticipation. His handwriting danced across the page, each letter a whisper of familiarity that tugged at her heart. He could hardly believe the weight of the words as they tumbled from his lips, each one heavy with unspoken truths and raw emotion. "You know, I never truly appreciated everything you are," she said, her voice trembling with unspoken feelings. "I see it now, all the layers I overlooked." There was a pause, heavy with the weight of realization, as she searched his eyes for understanding. "I wish I had recognized it sooner." Her heart raced, the air thick with unexpressed emotions, as she waited for his response. "It dawns on me now, the truth that I couldn't see before. I didn't walk away from you because you let me down. I walked away, my heart heavy, unable to match your pace any longer." The letter hung in the air, neither a desperate plea nor a solemn promise, its weight heavy with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. "I have to tell you something," she said, her voice trembling with the weight of her words. "It's been eating away at me." A man stands at the edge of realization, his heart racing as the weight of years lost crashes over him. "How could I have been so blind?" he whispers, the words trembling on his lips. The world around him sharpens, colors bursting forth like a long-dormant spring. Each moment, each memory floods back, igniting a fire within him. "I should have seen it," he breathes, the ache of regret mingling with a newfound clarity. The air is thick with unspoken truths, and he feels the stirrings of hope amidst the turmoil. "I've lost everything," he penned with a heavy heart, "yet I want you to understand that you ignited a spark within me, a chance to discover something far greater in myself." With trembling hands, she folded the letter, her heart heavy with the weight of the past. She placed it gently in a box filled with echoes of yesteryears, then closed the lid, sealing away the emotions that threatened to spill over. Silence hung in the air, heavy with unspoken words, as the moment stretched between them. No reply was necessary. The weight of their shared understanding spoke volumes. Some apologies linger in the air, heavy with unspoken words, better acknowledged than met with a response. And this time, she stood in silence, a serene calm washing over her, leaving no room for questions, only the gentle embrace of peace. He just vanished, leaving an emptiness that echoed in the silence. Through whispers shared among friends, she learned of his life spiraling into chaos, unemployment gnawing at his spirit, debt tightening its grip, and isolation wrapping around him like a suffocating shroud. Yet, within her heart, there was no trace of bitterness. A compassion that lingers in the shadows, soft yet profound, like a whisper in the night. She stood in silence, her heart heavy, as she watched his world crumble. There was no joy in her eyes, only a deep, aching sorrow for what had been lost. She felt it deep within her soul, a truth that resonated through every fiber of her being. Life has a way of balancing the scales, of bringing everything to its rightful place. With every ounce of her suffering, she forged a new path, transforming anguish into a powerful drive that ignited her spirit. He had basked in comfort, only to be consumed by the weight of his regrets. And so, their stories unfolded, each thread pulling away, as fate had always intended. One afternoon, amidst the soft glow of the boutique, she gathered her courage and stood before the crowd, her heart racing. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "This event is more than just a charity. It's a lifeline for those of us who have faced the storm of divorce." The room fell silent, eyes fixed on her, each woman holding her breath, feeling the weight of shared experiences. "We are not alone," she continued, her words laced with emotion. "And together, we can rebuild." A murmur of agreement rippled through the audience, and she could see the flicker of hope in their eyes. In the cozy little shop, dozens of women gathered, their laughter mingling with the warm aroma of tea. They sipped delicately from their cups, fingers brushing against vibrant fabrics as they exchanged stories, each tale laced with emotion and connection. She scanned the crowd, her gaze lingering on the sea of brave faces, and declared, "I don't stand here because I wasn't broken." Her voice trembled with the weight of her truth, each word dripping with the raw emotion of her journey. "I stand here, defiant, because I refuse to remain shattered." The applause lingered in the air, a gentle wave of appreciation that spoke volumes, each clap resonating with sincerity and warmth. Amidst the throng stood women who mirrored her, mothers, daughters, each a testament to survival. Their eyes spoke volumes, filled with untold stories and shared struggles, weaving a tapestry of resilience and hope. She was weaving stories with every fabric, each piece a chapter waiting to be told. With each careful stitch, she wove dignity back into the frayed fabric of their lives, her heart aching for their struggles. The seasons shifted, each one whispering secrets of transformation and renewal. Her business blossomed, each new opportunity igniting a spark of excitement within her. She could feel the weight of her dreams lifting, as if the universe conspired to reward her relentless efforts. "This is just the beginning," she whispered to herself, her heart racing with anticipation. The thrill of growth coursed through her veins, and she couldn't help as the sun dipped below the horizon. She opened the doors to her sewing classes, inviting women who felt adrift, their hearts heavy with uncertainty. "Come in," she said warmly, her voice a soothing balm. "Let's find our way together." Each stitch they made was a step toward reclaiming their dreams, a thread binding their stories with hope and resilience. "You don't have to be perfect," she said, her voice soft yet firm, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Just be real." The weight of her words hung in the air, a fragile promise wrapped in vulnerability. Simply willing, with a heart full of hope. They burst into laughter, their fingers clumsily dancing over the fabric, and slowly, piece by piece, they started to stitch once more, not merely with thread, but with a renewed sense of hope that filled the air around them. Every garment whispered secrets. Each story unfolded like a delicate thread in a tapestry woven with second chances, rich with emotion and longing. Whispers reached her ears, soft yet piercing, revealing that her ex-husband had packed up and left, disappearing into the distance. Neither a new marriage nor a flourishing career awaits. Now, it was a life steeped in silence, reflecting the weight of his decisions. Each moment hung heavy in the air, a testament to the paths he had chosen. She stood there, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her, the weight of the world lifting from her shoulders. It wasn't victory she felt, it was liberation, a breath of fresh air filling her lungs as she embraced the moment. She breathed deeply, liberated from the ache that once consumed her, the relentless need to prove herself, and the haunting shadows of her past life. The woman who once stood at the stove, her hands shaking as she clutched an envelope, had vanished into thin air. In her place stood a figure, vibrant and complete, a testament to resilience, a soul who had painstakingly stitched herself back together, thread by thread. Amidst the vibrant chatter and the scent of freshly crafted goods, she locked eyes with David, a spark igniting between them in that bustling artisan meetup. "These labels are lovely," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, yet it carried a weight of sincerity. He glanced at her, a flicker of admiration in his eyes, as if the simple act of acknowledging her work bridged the gap between their worlds. The air thickened with unspoken words, a tension that danced between them, hinting at stories untold and emotions unshared. "These are beautiful," he exclaimed, his finger tracing the delicate hand-stitched tags on each garment, a spark of admiration lighting up his eyes. "Did you really create all of this on your own?" She nodded, her expression calm, accustomed to the ebb and flow of casual conversation, her heart not anticipating anything profound. Yet, there was an undeniable quality to his presence, unhurried, calm, that seemed to hang in the air, refusing to fade away. He never dared to request anything beyond what she willingly gave. He stood there, his eyes locked onto hers, absorbing every word as if they were the very essence of her soul. In the weeks that followed, their brief nods at the bakery blossomed into warm smiles, and soon, they found themselves lost in deeper conversations at the market, each word weaving a thread of connection between them. When he finally leaned in and asked if she wanted to grab a coffee, she paused, her heart racing, caught in a web of uncertainty that felt all too familiar. But she nodded, her voice barely above a whisper, "Yes." The weight of the moment hung between them, charged with unspoken fears and hopes, as her heart raced in anticipation of what lay ahead. With David, everything shifted in the air, a palpable tension crackling between them. "Hold on a moment. There's no need to demonstrate a thing. You are whole," he said to her one day, his voice steady yet filled with an undercurrent of emotion. "I don't want to fix anything," she said, her voice trembling with a mix of defiance and vulnerability. The weight of her words hung in the air, thick with unspoken fears and desires. "What if I just let it all fall apart? I simply yearn to see it unfold before my eyes." For the first time in what felt like an eternity, she took a deep breath and stepped into the light, letting herself be seen once more. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the quiet street, she locked up the shop, her mind still buzzing with the day's events. Suddenly, the door swung open, and there stood her daughter, a radiant smile lighting up her face, a bouquet of wildflowers clutched tightly in her hands. "Mom," she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. The unexpected visit filled the air with a palpable warmth, a moment that seemed to stretch, rich with unspoken words and shared love. "This tea is lovely," she said, her eyes sparkling as she took a sip. "It feels like the warmth of the sun on a chilly day." He smiled, leaning back against the wooden bench, the soft glow of the lights casting a gentle halo around them. "I thought you'd like it." "It's my favorite," he replied, his voice low and inviting. The night air was thick with unspoken words, each moment stretching between them like the delicate strands of light above. "Do you remember the last time we were here?" she asked, her tone shifting, a hint of nostalgia lacing her words. He nodded, the memory flickering in his mind like the lights overhead. "How could I forget? It was the night everything changed." Her gaze dropped to her cup, the weight of the past hanging heavily between them. "I can't believe you would do this to me," the daughter exclaimed, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. "You know, there was a time I feared I might turn into someone like you," she said, her voice soft yet heavy with unspoken feelings. "It's not about the person you've become today. It's about the sacrifices you made along the way." The mother nodded slowly, her heart a silent storm within her chest. "But now," her daughter said, her voice trembling with sincerity, "if I could be even half the woman you are today, I would hold my head high with pride." Her voice trembled, a fragile note breaking through the air. "You're the direction I need." The words floated gently, yet each one bore the heavy burden of countless years spent mending wounds. In a moment thick with unspoken words, they wrapped their arms around each other, the silence heavy with emotion. It wasn't merely a mother and daughter, it was two women, each a testament to survival, each a beacon of hard-earned wisdom. They walked side by side, not hidden in anyone's shadow, but radiating their own brilliance, their bond a powerful force of resilience and love. On a quiet Sunday, She found herself back at the park, the familiar path whispering memories of her childhood. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting playful shadows as she recalled the days spent riding her bike, each pedal a step toward rediscovering the rhythm of her breath, the pulse of life itself. Her heart ached with the weight of nostalgia, a bittersweet reminder of the journey she had taken to find herself once more. She nestled beneath the sprawling branches of the ancient oak, her gaze drifting over the vibrant tapestry of life unfolding around her. Families strolled by, their laughter ringing like music in the air. Couples exchanged tender glances, and children darted about, their joy palpable in every gleeful shout. Once, she had sat in this very spot, her heart heavy with the weight of despair, wondering how she would ever find a way to endure the pain that threatened to consume her. Now, she sat, her heart racing, grappling with the shadows of her past doubts. How could I have ever questioned my own strength? She whispered to herself, the weight of her journey pressing down on her. The air around her crackled with unspoken emotions, each breath a reminder of the battles fought and won. With a trembling hand, she retrieved a small notebook from her bag, her heart racing as she flipped it open to a pristine, blank page, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. With a graceful flourish, she let her pen glide across the page, forming the word freedom in elegant cursive, each curve and loop bursting with unspoken longing. It wasn't meant for a post, nor for anyone else's eyes. It was solely for her, a whisper of the heart, a secret meant to be cherished. Time slipped away like sand through her fingers, each moment steeped in tears, as the very fabric of her reality unraveled before her eyes, shattering the illusions she had clung to so desperately. As she sat there, a wave of understanding washed over her. The weight of her losses began to fade, replaced by the undeniable truth of her gains. It was a revelation that stirred something deep within her, a mix of relief and newfound strength that ignited a flicker of hope in her heart. She rose from the ashes, crafting a new existence with every heartbeat, every tear shed, and every moment of doubt transformed into strength. With every stroke of her pen, she transformed its very essence. As she stepped through the door that evening, her heart raced at the sight of an envelope nestled in the mailbox, its presence heavy with unspoken words. There was no mistaking it. The handwriting leaped off the page, a vivid reminder of him, each curve and line echoing his presence, stirring emotions long buried. For a heartbeat, she was a statue, caught in time, before she finally exhaled and opened it with a serene composure that belied the storm within her. Within those pages, only a handful of lines awaited, each one heavy with unspoken words and lingering emotions. Thank you for choosing not to bring me back into your life. That was the only path I knew to take. You were never the issue, you know that, right? It was never about you. I found myself dwarfed by the strength of another, my hands trembling as I reached out, feeling the weight of their power against my fragile frame. With a delicate touch, she folded the letter, her fingers trembling slightly as she placed it in the familiar wooden box. Memories swirled around her, each old photo and past love note whispering stories of joy and heartache, echoing the emotions that lingered in the air. It was stripped of pain, transformed into a tapestry of memories. Her smile was not one of victory. It was a reflection of deep understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the complexities that lay between them. In the depths of pain, where shadows linger, there lies a hidden truth. It is within that very hurt that the seeds of something extraordinary can take root, yearning to break free and flourish. The letter didn't serve as an invitation to revisit the past. It was the last brick, the one that completed a wall she had long since outgrown, a wall that no longer offered her support. 1 year after the boutique first opened its doors, she unveiled a stunning new collection, her heart racing with anticipation. Every dress in the collection whispered a story of her journey. Silence, with its haunting elegance. Courage, bold and unyielding. Closure, a gentle embrace of the past. And rebirth, vibrant and full of promise. Yet, the true star of the evening was a long, flowing ivory dress. Its elegance was heightened by the intricate hand-embroidered navy vines that twisted gently around the hem and neckline, whispering secrets of artistry and grace. I shall call it freedom, she declared, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and determination. It was the most delicate thing she had ever crafted, yet it held an undeniable power within its fragile form. At the anniversary event, she slipped into the dress, her heart racing with every glance in the mirror. The fabric hugged her curves, whispering secrets of elegance and nostalgia. As she stepped into the room, the air thickened with anticipation, and every eye turned toward her, igniting a spark of drama that danced in the atmosphere. As she stepped outside, the air crackled with anticipation, and the crowd erupted into applause, their cheers echoing down the street. Her children lingered close, their eyes filled with unspoken questions and a mix of hope and fear. David grasped her hand tightly, his heart racing as he searched her eyes for a flicker of hope. Customers, both familiar and fresh, enveloped her in warmth. As she gazed up at the sign hanging above her door, Rebirth, a wave of liberation washed over her. No longer did she feel the weight of expectation pressing down on her. She was free, unburdened, and resolute in her newfound self-acceptance. She was now the very essence of everything she had once thought she could never survive without. Her fingers grazed the delicate embroidery at her chest, and she murmured softly, "This has always been me." A flicker of recognition danced in her eyes, as if the fabric held secrets only she could understand. I just needed to hold on to that memory, to let it wash over me like a tide of emotions, pulling me back to a moment that felt so alive.